So welcome to our Monday night call. I am so excited to get to talk to all of you tonight about one of my favorite topics ever, Instagram. If you guys don't know me personally, I'm Jen Richardson. I started coaching up 5.5 years ago. I'm a superstar diamond, 4-time elite coach, member of Million Club, Success Club legend, all that fun little statistic stuff, right? And I built my business on Instagram. So while a lot of coaches were really feeling the Facebook vibe, I never really got into the Facebook vibe. I jumped right into Instagram pretty much as a brand new coach, and I have been building there ever since. I will tell you guys that I'm somewhat of a dork when it comes to Instagram because I am always like researching like what's changing and algorithm changes and what's fresh and new and like how to be maximizing your Instagram. So tonight's topic is about branding, but I do have like an Instagram 101, kind of how to get followers and how to attract people to your page. I have a video on that I can share with you guys outside of this call. But what I really want to talk about today is branding, and it really starts there. So once we get into following and unfollowing and all of that stuff, like the techniques to grow, first you need to have a space that is visually appealing and is telling a message and has a clear story of who you're trying to attract. And that's what we're going to be diving into tonight in hopefully 30 minutes. I'm going to try to do it quick. So I want you guys to get out your phone, unless you're on your phone right now, and I want you to open up your Instagram, and I want you all to really quickly, and you can chat, you can type into the chat, when you're looking at your profile, if you were looking at your profile as a complete outsider, what would you say the story is? Like, what's your story? Who are you? What is the message you're trying to relay if you were looking at your page as an outsider? And I'll tell you what, guys, when I first had that question posed to me in an Instagram training I was part of, I was like, wow, like I post a lot of sweaty selfies. Like I post a lot of these. What message am I trying to send by all these sweaty selfies I'm posting? Well, the message I was trying to send was, you can work out too and be proud of it and all of that, which is a great message. But if you didn't take time to read my caption, I think you would see a feed that was a lot of my face and a lot of sweat and not a lot of visually, which is what Instagram is. Instagram is a very visual platform a lot of times, and if you get comments on your pictures, you'll notice that a lot of times people are like, cute dress, or I love your hair like that, when really your caption was talking about how like your great aunt Josephine passed away, and it's, you know what I mean? Like, and you're like, no, why are you talking about my hair? But my point in that is the story you are telling needs to be told visually if someone was to never read your caption ever. So take the time to look at your profile today and scroll through it and just be like, if someone was never going to read a caption on my page, what story did my pictures tell? So that's first and foremost, because, and I will tell you this, and I've done kind of like market research on it, people give you about 20 seconds when they first look at your profile to decide if they're going to, if 20, okay, to decide if they're going to follow you back or not when you follow them. So the story that you're telling quickly is what they need to be hearing. So your profile, the profile itself, the words that you use to describe you, does that scream you as a person, or does that scream Beachbody Coach? If it screams Beachbody Coach, I want you to delete it tonight, and I want you to redo it with who are you as a person and not you as a coach. You as a coach could be part of that profile, but your whole profile should not scream Beachbody. And here's why. There is a lot of people out there that do not like MLMs. They don't like them. They will never want to order from you simply because you're part of an MLM. Doesn't matter what you sell. They just don't want to. Here's the thing I've also found with people. I've been able to convert some of those people that say they are like anti-MLM into being my customers. And why? Because they don't look at me as someone that's part of an MLM. They look at me as me. It happens to be a coach for Beachbody. So when you're branding yourself, you want to make sure you're branding yourself and you're not branding Beachbody and you're not trying to be like Carl Daikeler, because you're not him, you're you. So what you have listed out in your profile, which again, market research says people do read the profile. Who does it say you are? And it should be kind of like, you know, when you're in a bookstore and you see like a pretty cover on a book and you pick it up because the cover was pretty, which is your Instagram, and then you flip the book over and you're reading like a quick little rundown of what that book's about. That's what your profile is. Because your cover, okay, that passed the first test. I like the cover. What is this about? You flip to the back of the book. Okay, I like the synopsis. Your profile is your synopsis. So in mine, and if you guys don't follow me, I'm jenrichardson.xo on there. So maybe when I'm referencing my profile, it'll make sense to you if you're also following me. But I kind of just do a little bulleted list of the things about me that are me, but also things that you're going to see on my page. And I'm open about it, and I like that because if someone is going to be attracted to me, I want them to do it in the first 20 seconds. I want them to know who I am and what I stand for, so that if they're like, oh, she wrote Saved by Grace, she's Christian, I don't like that. Okay, that's fine. I'm not your cup of tea. That's okay, but I'd rather you bounce then than you hang around and realize that you get real hateful when I post about Jesus. You know, I'd rather you just know it. Move on. That's okay. No hard feelings. You know what I mean? So the things about you, make sure they're in your profile. That's my second little point. Your profile picture, I would suggest it being something bright, something picture of you. If it's you and your kids, something like that, fine. As long as you're in it. You want your profile picture to be the face of your profile. So if it's a picture of your kids, that doesn't show me who you are. And market research says someone is much more likely to follow someone back if they know who they're talking to. So if it's a picture of your kids, I would feel a little bit uncomfortable talking to you about me signing up so you're my coach when I'm not sure what you look like. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people take a lot of pictures of their kids or their house or their surroundings, and there's very few times that they're in the picture. Just know that it will be hard for someone to feel comfortable with you if they don't really know what you look like. So just something to think about. Now, for your profile, for the story you're telling, I'm going to tell you to pick 3 things, just 3 minimum, you want your story to be about. So I think for all of us, your fitness story is going to be one of those things. So for me, it's fitness and wellness. That is a huge part of my brand, even outside of Beachbody, because I'm really big on kind of holistic and natural medicine. I'm really big on wellness and the way we eat, which perfectly ties in with our mission with Beachbody, but it's something I have as part of my brand outside of Beachbody. Okay, so another part of me is the fact that I'm a Beachbody coach. So I put in there, I call it, what do I say? Elite Superstar Diamond Coach. I put in there, and on top of it, I say I'm a fitness and wellness mentor, which to me is what we are, and to me is what I am. I think there might be some people that are much more engaged with teaching how to work out and really, you know, getting into performance line and that kind of stuff. And I'm more of like an overall wellness type person. Like, how are you feeling? Let's talk about how food can affect that, blah, blah, blah. I won't go off on a tangent. I also talk about how I'm a shopaholic. I am. I love to shop. My page talks a lot about clothes, fashion, shoes, products. It's a big part of who I am. So you're going to see that in my page. And then wife and mom. Tons of pictures of my kids and me. Sometimes Dan gets in the picture, my husband, sometimes he doesn't, but a family-oriented vibe on my, you know, is a huge part of my brand. So it's a huge part of what is on my Instagram page also. And then, like I told you guys before, Saved by Grace. I'm a Christian. It's a part of my brand. It's something I like to share. So that's on there. That's my story. Those are my things. You don't have to have 5 or 6. Like I said, you could have 3, but minimum 3. Know what they are and make sure that the things that you chose are things that when you scroll that profile real quickly, you see those things as part of your picture story, okay? Now let's talk about the imagery, the visual aspect of your imagery. So we'll go into imagery content and imagery visual, but let's talk about visual first because that's what we see. Something a lot of people ask me is the filter like I use on my pictures because they all look the same. Or similar, right? Like a similar vibe. And if you go to a lot of popular Instagram accounts now, you'll notice that their profile, their imagery has a tone, like a certain tone to them. Color scheme and saturation and tint, it just looks very universal. Little hint for you guys, like little tip, those are presets on Lightroom. So if you don't have the Lightroom app on your phone, I love it. It's awesome. You can purchase presets from Etsy. I think they're like $5 a preset. But find a preset that you like that kind of symbolizes your, overall tone of your brand, who you're trying to attract, your personality. So for me, I'm like a bright and bubbly person. So my pictures, I want to kind of have that same vibe. So if you go to my page, they're very bright and colorful because that's how I feel I am on the inside. So I feel like the colors you use should kind of match your personality a little bit. I know some people do like muted tones, like very earthy tones, like my Pacific Northwest friends, they seem to have like the more earthy tones. I'm in Florida, so I think right there might be a regional thing and you're more attracted to certain color hues and whatnot. But there's a Lightroom preset for every personality, and I really enjoy that app. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but nothing YouTube watching for 10 minutes can't teach you. So I really love Lightroom, and I like having like an overall, feel for my page. If you don't use Lightroom, you don't have to. There's another app I used for years. It's called Pick, Tap, Go. It is now on Android too, which is awesome because for the longest time it was only iPhone. You can kind of edit your pictures again in that same way, like brighten, use contrast, use saturation, and just alter it. Snapseed is another good one. But kind of figure out what tone of your page you want people to feel when they come to it. So I love white. Like I love whites and grays. Like they're my favorite. My whole house is like whites and grays. But when I tried doing that color scheme on my Instagram, it didn't work for me. And I realized it's because I'm so bright. Like my surroundings are bright. I'm always doing outdoor pictures. I love bright colors. So white did not work for me. So I went with something that did match the kind of pictures I was taking. I try to take a lot of outdoor pictures or outdoor, like you have natural lighting in your pictures. So think about that. It's something to think about. What kind of emotional feel do you want to have when people go to your page? And that is going to match your content on your imagery. So what I try to do when I am kind of planning for the week, we have to roll in our calls to actions and whatnot into our posting. So what I try to do is I try to look at what are my themes of like, who am I trying to attract, look at my page, and then try to figure out how I can strategically place those calls to actions in there. So it's not fitness, 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 call to action, fitness, 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 right? Because that just becomes very redundant and people are like, I'm so uninterested in what she's saying right now because all I'm seeing is fitness. So if people are at my page, because again, with all of your hashtag research and all that good stuff, you have a variety of people coming to your page from your niche market, and you want to make sure that you are providing content for all of those people that came. So if someone came to your page because you love interior decorating and home design, but then your profile is rarely talking about it, you're going to lose those people. That's why I said pick 3 things, because it's easier to keep track of 3. But make sure that you are touching on those 3 things and you're interjecting Beachbody in the middle of them. So it feels more organic. It feels like you're sharing about Beachbody because it's a part of your life and not because it's your job and that you have to make these calls to action. So that's definitely a recommendation. I kind of plan it out. I'm like, okay, so Monday is going to be like an inspirational post, and then Tuesday is going to be me and my kids, and then Wednesday might be something about my house. And do you know what I mean? Like you're trying to plan out the week and figure out when you make that call to action, so how the posts are going to surround it. Another little tip with content in that way is if I'm going to be planning a call to action, the day before I want to post the thing that usually gets the most feedback for me. And you guys will kind of notice that. I know a lot of my coaches are like, I can post a picture about me working out and like 3 people will like it. I could post a picture about my dog and 500 people like it. People love my dog. So think about the kind of content you're putting out there that might generate the most likes, and then plan your call to action for after that, because the way Instagram's algorithm works, is they will kind of rank your account higher based on how many people are interacting on a post, and it will roll into the next day. So if your next post like continues to get a lot of great traction, they rank your account even higher. What I like to do is kind of ride the wave of that great post and have a ton of eyes on my call to action. I have a business Instagram, which I recommend. I love being able to see my insights, like what time to post, what day to post, all that good stuff is there as a business tool. But another great thing with a business Instagram is being able to promote your post. So what I like to do is ride like a high traction post on a niche market topic. And then I like to slip the call to action in there and then promote it. So I'm even getting more eyes on what I'm doing. So yes, that's why I like the business aspect of having like a personal versus business account. You do get a little drop in traction and engagement on a business account because it's just like Facebook, like they want you to pay to use it. But Instagram paid posts are so much cheaper than Facebook. Like I can get like 2,000 views on a post and it's only like $3. So way better. Okay, let me move on to the next, your caption and your message that you're saying. So like we talked about at the beginning, you want your pictures to tell the story, even if no one was to read your words. But what's going to happen as people are enjoying your photography and the story you're telling, they are going to want to read your caption because they're curious of like a little bit more about who you are. I like to alternate between really quick captions and longer, meaningful ones. I feel like the people that are always super heavy with their captions and their comments and their posts, I'm just like, wow, like emotional weight right here every time I go to their account. I don't want to have like some deep, long saga every time I want to look at your page. I want to see like a mix of it. So are you wanting your page's tone to be funny? If you want it to be funny, then make sure you're getting those funny quotes in there. Make sure that your captions like kind of have a sarcastic tone to it or a funny tone or whatever, but have an idea of how you want to be perceived on your page and type that way and share that way. And that's not to say that when you want to have this really heartfelt post on there that you shouldn't. You totally should. But I think people find it endearing when they start to feel your personality through your words, and it matches the tone of everything else. And then when you do share that heartfelt post, even if it's outside of your funny banter that you're normally sharing, people really vibe with you and they really feel like, wow, okay, I get her. Like I feel like I'm part of her life or his life, her life, your life. So that's something I try to do too. I feel like the overall theme as from a branding perspective for my page is kind of lighthearted and funny, easygoing. And I kind of try to share that, but then sometimes I get a little tough love, which is part of my personality too. And I get a little serious on some posts, like how I'm feeling about my business or how I'm feeling about my kids, and get a little deep. That's not to say that you should have the same tone on your page, but just pick one. Serious, funny, deep, lighthearted. Try to think of the tone of your page and the voice that you want to be spoken through your words when you're writing. So to think about that. And we talked about the visual tone of your Instagram and how it should match the voice. The visual should match the voice. So if you have this very bright and beautiful, clear, kind of picturesque profile, and then your words are very solemn and deep and serious, they don't vibe, you know? So you kind of want to just make sure that the overall tone matches each other, and you are matching the things that you're talking about too, and you're sharing those things. And so let's talk really quickly about factoring in Beachbody as part of your brand and as a way to not push people away, but to bring people in and have them kind of excited and celebrate your business. So something that I do is I like to make posts around an objection without somebody saying the objection to me. Because I'm always thinking in my head, and this is the way I was to my coach, like I had all these questions and she was so patient. She answered all of the questions for me. But I feel like when I'm storytelling through my, social media, I want to be telling those objections before the person even asks them to me, because they might be thinking them. So like the other day I did this post about pyramid scheme, right? And I started off kind of funny with it, like, are you part of the pyramid scheme? And I'm like, whoa, girl, that was a tough question, or whatever I said. It was a question I got on a direct message, and I don't think she was trying to be mean. She just was like, I think a lot of people use MLM and pyramid scheme as synonymous. But I used that question she had as an opportunity for me to share how this business that I'm part of isn't a pyramid scheme, and then why I love it so much and why it's so great. And I have a call to action at the end. So I think I reel people in because pyramid scheme is flashy. Then I made it kind of funny. Then I went into my call to action of why don't you want to join me with this thing? So I think that with your calls to actions, kind of putting in what you think your followers might be thinking and making it into a post and then turning around as a way to bring them in. Sometimes my calls to actions are straightforward. There's no beating around the bush. I'm just like, this is who I'm looking for. This is what this is the kind of person that would be a great fit for my team. And this is what the job entails. And I like to start it with something kind of grabbing. And when I was scrolling Nikki Whiting's page, she had this post up that was like, influencers wanted. And so I'm a social media influencer. It's something that I do. And so for me, that like grabbed me right away. I was like, oh, and then I realized it was Nikki. And I was like, and then let me read this post. And it was this beautifully written call to action. And of course I asked her if I could steal it because that's what we do, like sharing is caring. And I put my own spin on it and I put that up, but that was another great call to action. Sometimes, since being a mom is part of my brand, I will post about how this opportunity allowed me to watch my kids grow up. And now they're 5 and 7 and I'm able to be at their games and field trips. And I'm constantly kind of doing like a recap of why this business allowed me to do this. But the important thing to remember, guys, is when you're doing this call to action, who are you saying it to? Who are you trying to attract with the way that call to action is? Are you trying to attract somebody that's looking to lose weight? Are you trying to attract the mom that feels like she's lost her voice in her house because all she is mom and cleaning up spit up and dirty diapers and all that? Are you trying to attract the person that is working that 9-to-5 job that hates it? Remember who you're trying to talk to as part of your brand, okay? So as part of my brand, will rarely make a post talking about being a full-time job worker. It's rare. I haven't worked outside the home in like 10 years. Gosh, I don't even know, so long. It's been a minute, okay? So it's hard for me to try to talk to people about that perspective of life because I'm not there and I haven't been there in a really long time. So my story and my call to action is going to be more towards my market, which is moms of elementary school kids. So when you're doing your call to action, just remember, who am I trying to talk to? Who am I trying to bring to my team? Who am I trying to appeal to with this post? I'm not just putting it up there. I'm really looking for somebody that is going to fit the description of who I am and who I am branding to. And you're much more likely to get someone to sign up if you're doing it that way versus kind of this very generic post that you're hoping it might stick with somebody versus nobody. One more thing before I wrap this up, and I will, if you guys want to ask a question, I will dive into the chat section really quick. I do not recruit challengers. So I've had a lot of coaches that follow me on Instagram and they're like, you never really post about challenge groups. I do talk about my workouts in my Instagram stories. I do that almost every single day. I share about my workouts. Here's the thing. People know I'm working out, okay? They see on my workouts, they're watching me work out. They're watching me share about my before and afters and transformation. They see the food that I'm making, they get it, okay? Like I work out, they understand that. If they want to work out too, I always am kind of like you can always do this with me, or this is so easy, that kind of thing. I don't feel the need to recruit to a challenge group. I feel like that story tells itself. But to me, the story that needs to be elaborated on a little bit more and where people need a little bit more of a push is the invite into coaching. Because they can watch me all day long and be like, I can work out with her, but where are they taking that from? Like, I could be part of her tribe. And that's really where I want people. I want them to be a coach. So for me, my call to actions are rarely about challenge groups, and that's a personal preference to me, as I would rather constantly be sharing the coaching opportunity and bring in as many new coaches as I can to my team. And that's just a personal way I share. If you are really big into challenge groups and like running these groups are a huge passion of yours, you want to make sure that that is a set tone on your brand, that you are really into groups and those are the kind of people you want to bring in versus growing a team. If you are kind of half and half and you love both equally and you couldn't pick one over the other, really kind of plan out your month of how you're going to share those calls to actions and in which way. I personally wouldn't say to have 3 call to actions a week. I feel like it's too much, especially if you're only posting once a day. But I would say to look at what your month looks like. When does your challenge group start versus when a glimpse group is, and plan out your post so that it's not all in everyone's face that join my team, join my group, join my free group, join this, and it's just too much. So just kind of think about that from that perspective of what is your goal with your Beachbody business and who you're trying to attract. Okay, I ran through that in 27 minutes, and that was much faster than I usually do. Because if you guys know me, you know I just like get so sucked to Instagram that I can't stop. So let me scroll up really quick and see if I see questions. I should have brought water. Should have brought some water. Okay, I'm not seeing questions. The app. It is Lightroom, and the other one was Pick Tap Go, like PICTAPGO. And Snapseed is another good one. I was using VSCO for a while, but for me personally, it was too filtered. I couldn't get it to look more natural. But a coach that I love and follow, Crystal Courier, I think her last name is, she does like a lot of pastels and this really pretty like pinks and purple hues. And she uses VSCO and she uses that same preset on all of hers. So you could definitely use that app too. And then just to touch on like Instagram stories, you're basically taking all of your branding from your page and you're like doubling up on that on Instagram stories. So if I'm only sharing 1 post a day and I'm alternating like family, kids, fitness through the week of my Instagram posts, my Instagram stories are all of that every day, all day. And I think that's where people really get to know you well, is through your stories, because they're able to get to kind of see like the down and dirty life versus like the pretty filtered picture that you place on your feed. And yes, you can go to Etsy and purchase the preset. Mercedes said, do I run challenge groups? I do. I am also big into simplicity with groups. So mine is called Fit Couture Challenge. And it's like a new round, like monthly, or we do it by the program. But it's the same group so that people can roll in and out of it. And it just makes it a lot easier for my new coaches coming in and current coaches that have a ton of groups already to not open up a new group every month. And I do run them on Facebook. So my goal with Instagram is to bring people in and then funnel them into Facebook to get to know me better and to get into my groups. But it's always like, I think Steph Chico's on, she's my coach, but from the beginning, I have just always preferred recruiting. I've never really like had this deep passion for challenge groups. I love teaching new coaches and training and mentoring and all of that stuff. So I really think it's a personal decision on the way you brand, on the way you share your Beachbody business, on what, you find the most passionate about this business to be. And I can share with you guys how I word my invites, but I'm also kind of like a direct person with my invites too. So I do a lot of networking and do a lot of messaging and commenting, and then I send very direct invites after I've talked to them for a couple weeks and I feel like they'd be a good fit. So here's my thing. I'm not into signing a bunch of coaches that might not match my vibe. I would rather have 10 coaches a month that I bring in that I feel like we'd be friends and we would hang out and we would get along. So when I am kind of in my brand and in my messages and all of that, it's very consistent with the kind of people I'm trying to invite. And I tell them straight up, like, I feel like you really match my vibe. I would love to get to work with you. I'm a lifestyle coach. This is what I do. I have like a little PDF that I send them. It's like a whole sum up of what coaching is. And then I have my What is Coaching video, and I send both of those, and I'm like, watch them. It's 5 minutes. If you like it, we can talk more. And I go into that. Did I start out my journey saying I was a Beachbody coach, or because I'm established now? Oh gosh, wow. Well, the way I shared back in 2013 and 2014 is not the way I would teach you guys to share today. It was like Beachbody spam when I started. It was really embarrassing. I think over time I have kind of evolved it. I do think you should talk about Beachbody. I went through a phase where I was like, be the next girl boss. And people were like, I'd love to be a girl boss. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a Beachbody coach. And they're like, not that kind of girl boss. So it was kind of one of those things where by hiding it, like you're just kind of delaying the inevitable if someone's not interested. But in the other time, you don't need to shove it down anyone's throat. Let them get to know you. And then you can interject being a Beachbody coach in there. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a mix of both. I never feel like you should hide it. I feel like you should make sure people know, but don't make it feel overwhelming. It's a balance, and you'll figure it out for yourself personally. When I focus on getting more coaches and challengers, how do I approach that with someone who may not be familiar with Beachbody as a whole? And I really do gauge it from a perspective of like, let me teach you what I do, because when I was approached with the opportunity, I did not know what Beachbody was. I didn't understand it. I was one of those people that had never heard of P90X. So, I mean, to me, it's like, let me teach you. And coming from a place of, I knew nothing either. Erica said, what's one mistake you made and have learned from? Well, I think I just said 2 of them, so that's funny. My first one was just being kind of like Beachbody spam and like a Beachbody billboard. I would like hashtag every like Beachbody program, and I was like posting stock photos or it was not good, guys, not good at all. So you don't want to do that, and that's something I learned from. And also I think being too vague and not really being it wasn't that I wasn't proud of Beachbody, it was that I just didn't want people to automatically not like me because of it and lose them. And I think I never got them I never ended up getting them anyway because it wasn't a good fit for them. So I think we need to look at Beachbody as that we're essentially brand reps for this company that we love, and not as much like we're trying to always get a sale. So if you guys know me, you know I love Target and I love Amazon and I'm like always shopping, but like Target doesn't pay me to talk about the jeans that I got on sale. But I do because I liked the jeans and I feel like you guys would like them too. And it's the same thing with Shakeology and what we do with Beachbody On Demand, you know? If I was not a coach, I would still be using Beachbody On Demand with you. Like, would you guys still be using it? And so share it from that way of like, not I'm trying to sell you a $99 a month subscription, but I use this really awesome digital workout system and you should know about it because it's awesome. So I think that don't hide Beachbody, but don't shove it down anyone's throat either. And I did both of those, Erica. What's the number one thing you would recommend we do to grow our Instagram following? It's massive following people. So when I was growing my Instagram account, I was following over 100 people a day. I was commenting on lots of accounts. I was engaging. I was trying to make relationships with other bloggers and other people where I could get part of like a loop giveaway type thing. It's all exposure. So your account is not going to grow without a huge, push on your end of trying to follow and engage with a lot of people. That's the biggest thing. And it's not just following, you've got to engage too, and not like emoji comments, like real comments. And yeah, it's tedious. It is, it's totally tedious, but that is the best way to do it, is really just putting yourself out there. And there are services that you can use. I use one called Jumper Media. I know a couple other people use like Social 21. And basically what they do is I tell them who my brand is, which is why this is so important. Like you guys need to know that before you even try to do anything else. I tell them like what my brand is, who I'm trying to attract, like what am I doing, what kind of, I showed them accounts and hashtags I'm using personally, and they basically do it like on steroids. So what you're doing yourself, they can do much quicker on a much larger level. And that's been really awesome for me. Do I help my coaches with their transformation still? As from from a fitness perspective, I mean, absolutely. To me, it's such an empowering thing to start working with a coach or a customer on, finding their good, like finding their feel good. I love it. It's a really powerful part of our business, but I am one of those people that like one-on-one connection. So I would rather get to talk with my customers, my challengers, my coaches about that kind of stuff, like on a one-on-one level versus like a huge, massive group where it's harder to get personal, because to me, our wellness journey is so personal and there's so many factors to it. So I never think I'll be that coach that signs 100 coaches a month, as much as it sounds amazing. I just think it's not what's worked for me. And I think you just have to find like what feels good like for you. What do I focus on in my Insta stories? Everything. I just try to give like a real big glimpse into what my life looks like, whether that's my workouts, whether that's my kids beating each other up on the floor, whether that's me at church, whether that's me talking baby talk to my dog, which I do once a day, at least on camera. I do it a lot more off camera. But it's just like me. And I think that's what people need to see. They need to see you. I don't use IGTV, but I do use the highlights, and I'm very big on the highlights because I try to save almost a little bit of my day every day to my highlights, and I have them broken up by categories of like what I talk about a lot on my page. So if you're not using your highlights, I totally recommend it. I get crazy views on my highlights because I feel like I'm always updating them so people feel like they get to see this long running story. For example, I have one that's my boys, which is like my kids and my husband, stuff we do together. And it's like this long running highlights reel of our adventures. So I totally recommend using that. How many times do I recommend posting on Instagram? I say once a day. I don't think you need to post more than that. If you watched a training from me 4 years ago, I would have been saying 3 times a day at least. But with Insta stories now, and that you're sharing throughout the day, I don't feel like you need more than 1 post a day. I would even wager to say once every other day if that feels okay to you. Like, I think that would be totally fine. As long as you're, active on your Instagram stories, it's okay if you don't post every day. The circles are the highlights. That's the highlights, is what those little circles are. And actually, I reached out to a graphic designer on Etsy, and she kind of customized them for me, but you can kind of find anything out there if you look hard enough. And then you just upload the picture and put it on up there. I already talked about health and fitness goals if you don't run challenge groups. I do run challenge groups. It's just not my passion. Challenge groups are not my passion. I'd much rather run training groups and glimpse into coaching groups and that stuff. But I feel like you've got to do it all. You got to do it all. You just find where you want to channel most of your energy. And for me, for my team, I want to make sure I'm having a place for them to bring their customers in, and an environment where if that is their passion, they have a place to add people. So, no, Julie, you're so sweet. I don't use Google Streak. I tried. It was just too much for me. I just feel like I just do fine with email the way it is. I use my Facebook inbox, I use my Instagram inbox, and I use my email inbox, and I haven't really had any issues ever with just doing it that way. Tracker app. I did use the Tracker app a lot last year. I never had great participation in it, and so I don't actively run them. As of like the past few months, I haven't done it, but I think it's dependent on if your customers liked it. Just mine were never really checking in. They weren't really using it. I can share the video and PDF for sure. Let me see if I have it on here. Maybe I can comment into the caption with it. If I have it saved. So I save everything into my iPhone notes, and I have them titled up here like coach links, and I have like my actives and inactives and my hashtags, and I have everything kind of written out. So I have like easy access to it. Let's see. This is what I send. And that is just my little blurb when I do a call to action. And this is my invite message. Super basic too, like just super basic and to the point. And then after that, if they're interested, then I send that yay girl and I send those links. And the first one is my YouTube video. Then the next one is like a coaching in a nutshell. And the third one is like a bigger what is coaching doc that is kind of like in place of a glimpse group if I'm not actively running one right now. Oh wow, a ton more questions has popped up. It was like not showing me them. And what is your ratio of discount coaches to hobby coaches to full-time working coaches? I do not recruit discount coaches. I don't like to sign discount coaches. I would rather them just be one of my customers until they're ready to work the business. So for me, I don't really lead with the discount coach opportunity. I only bring in people that are like ready to work. If some of my coaches that are ready to work coaches become discount coaches, that doesn't mean that I stop talking to them. I just don't actively try to recruit someone that isn't interested in working the business. Eric was so funny. Beachbody hashtag spam. That was so me. It's awful. It's like Sean T25, 21 Day Fix. And it was like, I would hashtag the programs that weren't even like on the picture. If you haven't really created a brand and your feed is all over the place, would you go back and delete certain posts that might feel off from the message you want to send? Absolutely. I would absolutely do that. I've actually had a couple coaches that have signed up in the past couple months, and I do a color wheel exercise with them where we basically go through like who their interest list is and who their target market is. And then they look back on their own Instagram and they're like, I really feel like my interest list doesn't really sum this color wheel up. So I think I'm just going to delete stuff. And I'm totally on board with that. I feel like you don't want to start from scratch, like your complete Instagram. It's much easier to just kind of go through and delete some stuff and clean it up and go from there. Do I have a calendar of ideas or themes to post weekly on Instagram that we can tailor to our brand? So I go based off my profile. Like my profile on Instagram. I look at that almost every single day and I'm like, am I doing a good job of sharing all of these things that are on here? Am I touching on all of this stuff? And like I said, that profile is like your sum up of who, you know, what your profile is all about. Do I manually follow those 100 people? I did when I was building because there wasn't systems like this. So when I tell you guys I totally built this from the ground up, like I mean it, like you can do it. It is just tedious. But yes, I did manually do it then, and now I have a service. All they do is follows. I do my own comments. I do not like people commenting for me. I feel like it never sounds like me. So I do all my comments myself. How to avoid having tons of Beachbody coaches to be the only ones to follow my account. It's all the hashtags you're using, and I don't have my my training video, my Instagram training video handy right now, but most of your coaches should have it. I will share it in our little thread and make sure that they can pass it on to you guys, but it really dives into this, and when you're getting a lot of coaches following you, it's the way you're marketing yourself through your hashtags and who you're following and all of that stuff. So it's something to really reevaluate for sure. I use Jumper Media. That's the company I use. My contact's name is Ian. I don't know if the other leaders are also using it. He does have like a discount for my team or my coaches that I'm more than happy to share with you guys. But I can give you his email address if you're interested, but the company is great. And then they assign you to an account rep, and it's 8:45. And I know Mel has to get on the Zoom at 9. He is great. They give you an account rep that matches kind of your feel and your vibe, and they help you kind of get more personal with accounts, and they work hand in hand with you, get on the phone with you. They're really awesome. After following 100 per day, do you go back and unfollow once a week? Yes, that is what I would do when I did it manually. The system I use now, Jumper Media, they do all my unfollows within 48 hours of the follow. So it's more of a quick turnaround. But what I did when I was doing it manually is I would do all my follows Monday through Friday. Saturday, I would do nothing. And Sunday, I would do unfollows. And that's what I did. And I only delete old highlights if for some reason I'm rewatching my highlights and I don't like it anymore. But other than that, I don't. I keep it all there. And did I create my highlight picks? No, I hired someone on Etsy. Do you strategically place your hashtags? Yes, I put them in the comments. There was a while where you weren't able to put them in the comments, but it's clear with Instagram now, like you can put them back in the comments. I try to do like little periods in a row and then place the hashtags, but yeah, that is what I do. I've never heard a top coach say they aren't passionate about challenge groups. Oops. I'm the same way. I love the idea of focusing on teaching coaches with a lighter focus on an ongoing challenge with clients. Yes, girl, I'm just all about, finding your passion in this business, because if you force yourself to do and put all your energy into something where you're not super excited, it's going to show, and you're going to lose your luster for this business. And we're all about longevity. And I will tell you, again, talking about Steph, because I was talking to her this morning, but I'm just as excited today to bring new coaches into this as I was when I started. And that's just really important to continue to love what you do years down the road. And challenge groups are great and they serve a great purpose. But like I said, I like that one-on-one interaction a little bit more. But I still run them. I still do. And free groups. Lots of free groups. Yes. I will post the recording for sure. I think Mel, she probably will. And yes, I shared my script. And do you recommend having a personal Instagram account in business, or do you just have one? I definitely recommend just one account. Definitely recommend just one account. It gets really confusing to have multiple. And why do you put the periods before the hashtags? It just breaks it up a little bit more. It hides them. So when someone comes to your page, if there's only one comment and it's yours, then they see the list of hashtags, and it might be polarizing to someone, oh gosh, there's those hashtags. So I just hide them. I will give you guys Ian's email. Let me see if I can pull it really quickly. But they're a super great company, and I feel like if you have a little extra money to invest into your business, it's a great place to put it, because I feel like there's a lot of return on it. That's his email. Oh, thank you. My eyebrows. Is there a benefit to running the hashtags together or listing them on a separate line? Absolutely no difference. Why do I unfollow people in 48 hours? It's what the system does. It's called the unfollow follow method, and it's part of that Instagram training video that I share. It's a method of growth on Instagram. But what they do is they only unfollow the people that don't follow you back. So if someone's following you, the system won't unfollow them. It just unfollows the people that aren't It unfollows the people that aren't following you, so that your following number doesn't get massive. Because if you think about it, if you're following such large amounts of people a day, that number would be huge if none of the unfollows were happening, if that makes sense. And I sell cute yoga mats. I'm a Beachbody coach and have a huge Instagram following. What would you say is your greatest income stream? 1,000 million times over Beachbody. 1,000 million times. Having your own business is cool, and I like having a little side hustle, but it doesn't even remotely touch Beachbody. So Beachbody is life. And I do have the Instagram training in the champions page. That is the one. I did post my YouTube link in there. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for popping on. If there are questions that you super want it answered and I didn't answer them, you can shoot me a message on Facebook. I'm more than happy to answer it. And you guys have an amazing, amazing night.